Right. So what we were discussing was that, right, in the previous examples, we didn't have a fair value adjustment. But in example number 4, what we have? We have a fair value adjustment. So here in this case, in example number 4, our book value of identifiable net assets and fair value of identifiable net assets are two different amounts. In consolidation, what we need to consider out of these two? Is it book value of identifiable net assets or fair value of identifiable net assets? What do we need to consider when determining goodwill? Goodwill එක determine කරද්දී අපි consider කරන්නේ මොකක්ද? ඒ කියන 32000 book value එකද නැත්නම් we know there is a fair value adjustment. Because of that, the fair value of identifiable net asset value is a different value. So what we need to consider out of these two when computing goodwill? All this stuff we have discussed when we are discussing that PowerPoint presentation, right, on the very first day. But we need to consider the fair value of identifiable net assets. Right? We need to consider the fair value. Okay. This one. The land of the company had a fair value of 10,000 rupees above its book value. The land of the company had a fair value of 10,000 rupees above its book value. එතකොට acquire කරගන්න දවසේ මෙයාගේ assets and liabilities වල මොකක් assess කරන්න ඕනද? We need to assess the fair value of assets and liabilities of our acquiree on an acquisition. So as a result, what has happened? The land of the company had the fair value of 10,000 rupees above its book value. It means we have a fair value adjustment. Fair value adjustment. The value of the land has gone up by how many? 10,000. Acquire කරගන්නකොට මෙයාගේ assets liabilities වල fair value එක assess කරන්න ඕන. තක්සේරු කරන්න ඕන. fair value එක. ඒකට එහෙම තක්සේරු කරද්දී හොයාගෙන තියෙනවා මොකද්ද? land වල ඔය පොත්වල පෙන්නන අගයට වඩා අගය කීයකින් වැඩි වෙන්න ඕන කියලාද? 10000කින් වැඩි වෙන්න ඕන කියලා. So in consolidation we need to consider this. මෙයාව consider කරන්න ඕන. Right. So in terms of acquisition information, those are the information, right? Apart from that, they have given an impairment. Our goodwill has been impaired. That is another additional information, right? And the goods in transit. So these are other additional information not directly related to the acquisition information. So these are what we have mapped here. We have mapped acquisition information. The investment value and those stuff. Okay. So what is the fair value of identifiable net assets figure? Fair value of identifiable net assets figure is 42,000. Right. Okay. So we have mapped this. Then what we need to do? After mapping, we can rule for our what? Working and the consolidated statement of financial position. We are preparing, sorry, this is example number 4. This is example number 4. We are preparing consolidated statement of financial position for P Limited Group. Right? So it is P Limited Group, not only P Limited. Now we are preparing for P Limited Group. P Limited Group consolidated statement of financial position as at 31st December 2018. Right. In the working, what we should have, what are the columns we should have? Apart from the description column, what are the columns we should have? how many subsidiaries do we have in this sum? Megane subsidiaries we have only one subsidiary. Right? We have only one subsidiary. Then how many columns we should have? For each subsidiary to calculate goodwill and NCI, we should have separate columns. It means we should have a goodwill column for our subsidiary S and NCI column for our subsidiary S. Apart from that, we should have a group retained earnings column. Group retained earnings column. In this one, I have 3 columns. What is the purpose of these 3 columns? First column, I will take the figures as it is. May tiyena figures arangena tamai first column එක මම allocate කරලා තියෙන්නේ. Second column is for what? Adjustments. Right? If there are any adjustments needed, I will do it in the second column. Right? Later on, when you are referring to these sums, you can easily understand it. And the third column I have highlighted for what? To take the final figures after the adjustment. Adjustments karata passe figures ennona kohomada. Okay. Now what we need to do? We have mapped the acquisition information, and then we have ruled for the consolidated statement of financial position and also for the working. Then what we need to do? ඊට පස්සේ මොකද කරන්නේ? In consolidation, with respect to assets and liabilities, what we need to do? We need to do the line by line addition. වත්කම් වගකීම් වලට අදාළව අපි මොකක්ද කරන්නේ? Line by line addition. Parent company figure plus subsidiary company figure. So here, non-current assets, parent company figure is 80,000. Design rupees 1,000. 80,000 plus 60,000, that is 140,000. Okay. Investment, I told you how this will get cancelled when we are computing goodwill. Right? This amount will be credited. It means nothing will remain as investment. Okay. So that is why I have not taken it up here. Make a කොහොමද credit වෙනවා. මෙයා debit නේ තියෙන්නේ. මෙයා credit වෙලා කොහටද debit වෙන්නේ? Cost of control account debit. Right? It means this figure will get cancelled. Nothing will remain here. So I have not taken investment figures to anywhere of our consolidated statement of financial position. And here we have receivable from S. Right? Receivable from S. Receivable from S. How many? 50,000. 50,000 receivable from S. Cash amount. Cash amount 20,000 of the parent and 50,000 of the 20,000 parents amount, 50,000 subsidy amount. So altogether how many? How much? 70,000. That is why I have taken it to my first column. Okay. What about stated capital? What about stated capital? Which figure we need to consider? Line by line addition. So here again, if we are using that double entry method, these things will be changed, right? Because I am going with the column method. Right? Remember that. So we are making this sum, we are solving this sum, we are preparing this consolidated statement of financial position here using the column method, right? Using the column method. That is why we are following this procedure, the procedure I have given to you last week. Assets and liabilities, goodwill, equity components, treat, we have discussed. Right. Now tell me, with respect to stated capital, what is the figure we need to consider? When preparing console, with respect to stated capital here, as far as we have discussed, what is the figure we need to consider? What? What is the figure we need to consider? I'm waiting for your answers. What is the figure we need to consider? 100. Yes, we need to consider 100,000, right? We need to consider 100,000. This 100,000 means what? The stated capital, right? The year-end amount, the year-end stated capital amount of whom? Of the parent company. Parent company again, P Limited again. As at 31st December 2018, they had a stated capital worth of 100,000. That 100,000 we need to consider here. Okay. Again, I'm telling, if you are going with the double entry method, these things will not be like this. Double entry method එක යනවා නම් අපි මෙහෙම කරන්නේ නැහැ. අපි කරන්නේ අර lines දෙකම add කරනවා, assets, liabilities, equity all. But here, since we are using column method, with respect to assets and liabilities only, we do the line by line addition. Equity component wise, I have discussed how we need to treat. Their stated capital, we need to consider only the parent company's year-end amount. Parent company's year-end amount here in this example, that is 100,000. Right. So here goodwill we will take from the work in number 1, and retained earnings also we will take from the work in number 1 as well as NCI value. Liabilities, we need to do line by line addition. 30,000 plus 30,000, that is 60,000. That is 60,000. And we have a payable amount to P, that is 40,000. Anyway, it's a liability, no? So we need to consider line by line addition. Right. So for what we have done, we have mapped the acquisition information and we have done the line by line addition with respect to assets and liabilities. In terms of a stated capital, we have considered the parent company's year-end amount. That is all what we have done. Okay. Right. Here. Now we can come to the working. We need to compute the goodwill of this acquisition. For your acquisition nisa generate which goodwill no. We need to compute the goodwill as a result of this acquisition. Okay. So how can we compute the goodwill? How can we compute the goodwill? Goodwill calculate compute kare investment plus NCI minus net assets. Investment plus NCI minus net assets. What is the investment value? What is the investment value? What is the investment value? That is 60,000. That is 60,000. So here we take 60,000. And new double entries filling and everything, but since you are using column method, we will stick with this. Okay. Right. Investment we have considered 60,000. What is the value of NCI? Non-controlling interest value is how much? That is here how much? That is 12,000. That is 12,000. Cost of control account debit, NCI account credit. This is a debit account. You'll say nothing here, right? NCI means an equity component, so these are credit accounts. Retained earnings is also an equity component, therefore this is also a credit account. Credit karna NCI. What about net assets? What is the figure we need to consider? Now, what is the figure we need to consider? 32,000, 42,000. We have two figures. What is the figure we need to consider? What is the figure we need to consider? $32,000 or 42,000? Yes, we need to consider the fair value of identifiable net assets. It means we need to consider 42,000. we need to consider 42,000 deduct investment plus NCI minus net assets. Deduct 42,000. Right. Okay. So here, what is the value of the goodwill that is being generated? That is 30,000. As a result of this acquisition, a goodwill value worth of 30,000 has been generated. Right? No. NCI value එක ගන්න 42,000 into 20% නෙවෙයිද කියලා අහලා තිනවා නෙවෙයි. ඇයි නෙවෙයි? ඇයි එහෙම නැත්තේ? Why it is not? Because in the sum they have given us the NCI, the fair value of NCI. ගානේ අපිට දීලා තියෙනවා. ඉතින් the NCI was valued at 12,000 rupees. ගානේ දීලා තියෙනවා නම් NCI වල fair value එක මෙච්චරයි කියලා. It implied that we need to use the fair value method. NCI value කරද්දී අපි කියවනේ methods දෙකක් තියෙනවා කියලා. Then we need to use fair value method. Okay. මෙන්න මේ sentence එක තිබ්බේ නැත්තම් then yes, then proportionately we need to consider. Okay. If they have already given the fair value of NCI is this much, then we need to consider that figure. Fair value එක දීලා තියෙනවා නම් අපි මේ figure එක තමයි consider කරන්න ඕනේ. It implies that we need to use fair value method. Okay. Right. So where were we? This one, no? 30,000. The goodwill generated through the acquisition, 30,000. Right. Then here, what can you say about this 10,000? මෙයා ගැන මොකක්ද හිතෙන්නේ? මෙන්න මේ 1,40,000 ඇතුලේ මෙයා ඉන්නවද නැද්ද? What can you say? Is this 10,000 is reflected in this 140,000 or not? මේ 1,40,000 ඇතුලේ මෙයා ඉන්නවද නැද්ද? What can you say? What can you say? Is this 10,000 included or not? Included or not? How we have taken this 140,000? Here, non-current assets of parent company. What example? Example 4. Non-current assets of parent company 80,000. Acquiree 60,000. So it is 140,000. Right? It is the book value. Book value. But fair value amount is not reflected here. මේ 60,000 ඇතුලේ මේ 10,000 මොකද්ද? නෑ, එයා acquisition එක නිසා මොකක් වුණාද? Acquisition එක නිසා assets liabilities වල fair value එක assess කරන්න ඕන වුණා. එහෙම assess කරපු නිසා මොකක් වෙලාද? land වල අගය 10,000කින් වැඩි වෙලා. But this 10,000, the increase in fair value does not reflect here. මේ 60,000 ඇතුලේ පෙන්නන්නේ නෑ. මෙයාගේ net assets නේ අපි value කරන්නේ acquiring S limited කින්. It means, right, in this 60,000, this 10,000 is not reflected. As a result of the acquisition, we have assessed the fair value, and then only we came to know the value of the land should be increased by 10,000. Acquisition එක නිසා තමයි මේක දැනගත්තේ. පොත්වල මේක පෙන්නන්නේ නැහැ. Then what we need to do? We need to take it to our books of accounts. Right? එහෙනම් මෙතන එයාව නෑ. එහෙනම් එයාව එතනට අරගෙන එන්න ඕන. What we need to do? We need to debit 10,000 here. Right? We can say fair value adjustment. Fair value adjustment. Right? Fair value adjustment. This is already here, right? The method debit kara කොතනද credit වෙන්නේ කියලා කොතනද credit වෙන්නේ මේ credit වෙලා තමයි තියෙන්නේ මේ net assets වල credit වෙලා එකතු කරලානේ තියෙන්නේ ඒ credit වෙච්ච එක තමයි ආයෙ set off වෙලා ගියේ. ආයෙ අයින් වෙලා ගියේ. Net assets 42,000. Right? So here what we left to do, what we have right left to do is that we need to add it. We wanted to add it to the non-current assets, right? Land. So this is because this 10,000 is not reflected here within this 140,000. Therefore, separately we need to add it. That is a result of the fair value adjustment. Fair value adjustment. Okay. Right. So that is done. මේක තේරුණා නේද? මේ 1,40,000 ඇතුලේ මේ 10,000 නැහැ. 10,000 ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ අපි fair value assess කරපු නිසා. එතකොට fair value adjustment එක අපි පොත් වලට අරගෙන එන්න ඕන. මෙතෙන්ට මේ අපි 10,000ක් add කරේ net assets වල 10,000ක් add කරා කියන්නේ we have credited it here. We have credited to our net assets, right? You can say it is what revaluation reserve, no? Yes, revaluation reserve. Revaluation reserve account එක create කරා හා සමානයි මේ කළා කියලා දේ. But again what අපි console කරද්දී ඔය amount එක ආයෙ එතනින් අයින් වෙනවා. Right? මේ 42,000 අයින් වෙලා තියෙන්නේ like that. So this one we need to consider under our non-current assets. That is the only thing we need to do in terms of like when we are using the column method. So always look whether there are any fair value adjustments. So reflect it in our asset figures. Reflect it in our asset figures. That is all what you need to do. Okay. That is done. Then what else we need to do? Here, impairment is there. An impairment test of the goodwill was carried out and the goodwill of the whole company was impaired by 5,000. There is a goodwill impairment of 5,000. Right? I will have it here. Goodwill impairment. Goodwill impairment. How can we treat for this 5,000? How can we treat for this 5,000? Goodwill එක impair වෙලා. එතකොට මොකද්ද වෙන්න ඕන? Now in these cases we can go with the double entries. For these adjustments, for this additional information, we can go with double entries. What we need to do with respect to the impairment? Goodwill එක impair වෙලා නම් goodwill එකේ value එක වැඩි වෙන්නද ඕන අඩු වෙන්නද? Should the goodwill value goes up or should it goes down? What need to be done? If the goodwill has been impaired, the goodwill value should goes up or the goodwill value should goes down. But the goodwill value should goes down. Yes, the goodwill value should goes down. It means goodwill account debit කරන්නද ඕන credit කරන්නද? Goodwill value එක අඩු කරන්න නම් එයාව debit කරන්නද ඕන credit කරන්නද? Goodwill account needs to be what? Goodwill කියන්නේ asset එකක් නේ. asset කියලා කියන්නේ debit account එක. එහෙනම් debit balance එකක් තියෙන account එකේ ආගේ අඩු කරන්න නම් මොකද කරන්න ඕන? Goodwill accounts need to be credited. Okay. Goodwill account need to be credited by how much? By 5,000. Okay. Where to debit? Where to debit? Now here we need to consider, right, this one. In which method we have assessed the NCI? In which method we have assessed the NCI? We know that there are two methods, right? There are two methods. What are those two methods? We can go for proportionate method. We can go for proportionate method, or we can go for fair value method. These are the two methods we are having. In this case, what is the method we have used in example number 4? In example number 4, what is the method we have used? Proportionate method එකකට NCI හොයලා තියෙන්නේ fair value method එකකට. What is the method we have used? What is the method we have used? Yes, we have used the fair value method. මෙන්න මේ method එකට ගිහිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ. Then if there is a goodwill impairment, the entry should be, right, or the goodwill impairment need to be allocated between parent company shareholders as well as non-controlling interest, NCI shareholders or the other shareholders, right? එතකොට fair value method එකට නම් NCI value කරලා තියෙන්නේ goodwill impairment එක parent company shareholders ටත් allocate වෙන්න ඕන. ඒ වගේම other shareholders ටත් allocate වෙන්න ඕන. It means what? Yes, we know if it is impaired goodwill account need to be credited, debited to two accounts. What are these two accounts? Now you know. Parent company shareholders let us debit pen on. Parent company shareholders la reflect pen mon account එකේ. Parent company shareholders la consolidation අමතක කරන් impairment වුණාට පස්සේ asset එකක් උපද්ද කරන් asset account credit P&L debit. So here what we need to debit? Parent company shareholders la කොතනද ඉන්නේ? හරි goodwill account එක credit කරනවා කියලා කියන්නේ මේ cost of control account එකනේ. This is like our cost of control account. The account we have in order to compute, in order to find the our goodwill value. This is like our cost of control account. P&L එක debit වෙන්න ඕන. හරි. එතකොට parent company එකේ profit and loss පෙන්නන්නේ කොතනද? Consolidation අමතක කරන්න. asset එකක් impairment වුණොත් මොකද කරන්නේ? asset account එක credit කරා P&L එක debit කරා. impairment කියලා. දැන් අපි credit කරන ප්‍රශ්නේ හරිනේ. goodwill account එක තමයි credit වෙන්න ඕන. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් නම් අපි debit කරන්නේ P&L. මෙතනදී parent company shareholders ලගේ retained earnings පෙන්නන්නේ කොතනද? P&L කියන්නේ retained earnings නේ කොතනද තියෙන්නේ? It is here. Group retained earnings. So we need to debit what? Group retained earnings. Goodwill එක impairment කියන්නේ පාඩුවක් නේ. That we need to identify the retained earnings. What else? Fair value method එකට නම් යන්නේ the goodwill impairment needs to be allocated between parent company shareholders and other shareholders. Other shareholders la කොතනද ඉන්නේ? NCI, right? NCI account needs to be debited. So this is how it should be when we are using the full goodwill method, right? Or if we have assessed our NCI using the fair value method. This is how our double entry should be. If we have used the proportionate method, මෙයාගෙන් percentage එක විතරක් consider කරලා මෙතන value එක determine කරා නම්, then how it should be? No doubt our goodwill account needs to be credited. Set එකේ අඩු වෙන්න ඕනේ කොහොමද? They are to debit. Now we are not going to allocate it between parent company shareholders and NCI. If we have used the proportionate method to assess NCI value, the total amount we can allocate to parent company shareholders. Parent company shareholders reflect where? In group retained earnings. Group retained earnings. Okay. So this is the difference in the accounting entries passed with respect to the method that have been used in assessing NCI. Okay. Stated capital and group retained earnings. Is the sum of these two balances we call what? Equity attributable to parent company shareholders. And equity attributable to parent company shareholders. So here I have not mentioned, but remember in the exams it is important, right? It is a requirement in the standard. We need to separately disclose what is the equity amount attributable to the parent company shareholders. They can මෙන්න මේ දෙක එකතු. යාව වෙනම පෙන්වන්න ඕන අර heading එකත් එක්ක. Okay. Right. So what should be the entry here? Goodwill account need to be credited by 5,000. කාටද debit කරන්නේ? Since we have used the fair value method to assess NCI, we need to debit it to our group retained earnings as well as to the NCI account. NCI. How can we allocate between these two now? කොහොමද allocate වෙන්න ඕන? ඔය 5000න් කීයක් යන්න ඕනද group retained earnings වලට? You can say what is the effective holding percentage of subsidiary S? That is 80%. Right? 80% of this 5,000 should be debited to group retained earnings. What is the NCI percentage? That is 20%. It means out of this, 20% need to be debited to where? To our NCI account. So we'll take it to the workings. Goodwill impairment. Goodwill impairment. Goodwill impairment. Goodwill account credit 5,000. Ini goodwill account credit. Credit කරනවා මම යාට එකතු කරන්න දෝන අඩු කරන්න. What I need to do? Should I add or deduct? Should I add it or deduct? එකතු කරන්න දෝන අඩු කරන්නද? Yes, we need to deduct. Deduct 5,000. Credit kara. What we have done, we have credited our goodwill account. We have credited our goodwill account. Group retained earnings account debit 4,000. Ini group retained earnings debit karanna. Debit karnawa නම් what I need to do? Should I add this 4,000 here or should I deduct it? මේ 4,000 මෙතන මම එකතු කරන්නද ඕන අඩු කරන්නද? I need to debit 4,000. So what I need to do? Add or deduct? Group retained earnings. What? Because these are the places where you go wrong, right? So marking your papers, I'm frequently observing these areas, these pluses and minuses, adding and deducting. This is very important. This to understand whether these accounts are what falls into what category. Group retaining is an equity component. So there is a credit balance. So here what we need to do, we need to debit. So what should we do? Yes, we need to deduct. Deduct 4,000. Deduct means we have debited 4,000. We have debited 4,000. NCI, this 1,000, what we need to do? Again, we need to debit. NCI කියලා කියන්නේ equity component එක, credit balance එක. So if we need to debit, it means we need to deduct 1,000. This is the double entry of the goodwill impairment. Right? If you practice it well enough, then no need to have these things as well, right? So I had this. If you need to refer these on a later time, then you can see how these things have gone through. Okay. That is in terms of goodwill impairment adjustment. That is we have done on this point. එහෙනම් goodwill impairment එකක් දුන්නට පස්සේ මොකද ඉස්සෙල්ලම බලන්න ඕන. ඉස්සෙල්ලම බලන්න ඕන NCI එක ඇසෙස් කරලා තියෙන්නේ මොන මෙතඩ් එකකටද කියලා. ඇයි එහෙම බලන්න ඕන? ඒ මෙතඩ් එක අනුව අපේ මොකක් වෙනස් වෙනවද? අපේ එන්ට්‍රිය වෙනස් වෙනවා. fair value method එකට ඇසෙස් කරලා තියෙනවා නම් එක විදියක්. proportionate method එකට ඇසෙස් කරලා තියෙනවා නම් තව විදියක්. Right? So that is the key point that you need to remember. Okay. Then the other adjustment is what? Close to the year end, S Limited has sent cash amounting to 10,000 to P Limited. S Limited අපේ subsidiary එක parent ගෙවලා කීයක්ද 10,000. S Limited has sent cash amounting to 10,000 rupees to P Limited. This was not yet recorded in the books of P account. This was not yet recorded in the books of P Limited. Goods in transit. S හරියට record කරගෙන, but P, our parent company, has not yet recorded this transaction. So how can P Limited record this transaction? Now, P Limited මේ transaction එක record කරනවා නම් එයා record කරන්න ඕන කොහොමද? How? What should be the entry? මෙයා record කරනවා නම් කොහොමද record වෙන්න ඕන? How it should be? S Limited has sent cash amounting to 10,000. 10,000ක cash එවලා what it should be? Not goods in transit. This should be what? Cash in transit, right? Cash in transit. So what is the account we need to debit? Cash මග එනවා. එහෙනම් මොන account එකකටද debit වෙන්න ඕන? Cash in transit account need to be debited. Cash in transit need to be debited by how much? 10,000. Where to credit? Where to credit? මෙයාට මේ මග තියෙන cash එක record කරන්න නැති කියන ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ. එහෙනම් record කරන්න. Cash in transit account debit එක වත්කමක් නේ. Debit 10,000. Where to credit? Where to credit? S has paid to P Limited. S company has paid to P Limited. Subsidiary has paid to the parent. එහෙනම් මොකද වෙන්නේ? දැනට කොහොමද ඇත්තේ මේ 10,000? දැනට කොහොමද ඇත්තේ? දැනට කොහොමද ඇත්තේ? receivable වල. මෙයා හිතන්නේ අපිට තාම ලැබිලා නැහැ කියලානේ parent company. එහෙනම් receivable වල ඇති. receivable from S අපිට S ගේ මෙන්න මෙච්චර ගාණක් ලැබෙන්න තියෙනවා කියලා ඒ account එකේ තමයි ඔය 10,000 ඇත්තේ. එහෙනම් 10,000 ලැබුණට පස්සේ මොකද වෙන්න ඕන? අර 10,000 receivable වලින් මොකක් වෙන්න ඕනද? අයින් වෙන්න ඕන. right? Receivable from S account need to be credited by 10,000. Receivable from S account need to be credited by 10,000. Okay. Right. Is this clear? Cash P Limited මේ transaction එක record කරගෙන නැහැ. එහෙනම් අපි මොකද කරන්න ඕන? අපි ඒක record කරන්න ඕන. එතකොට cash ටිකක් අපිට මග එනවා. එහෙනම් cash in transit account debit 10,000. අනිත් පැත්තේ මොකද වෙන්නේ? receivable එක අඩු වෙන්න ඕන. නායකතියන්ගේ සල්ලි ලැබෙනවා වගේනේ. Receivable balance need to be reduced. So receivable from S account need to be credited 10,000. Right. So let's pass this entry here. Cash in transit account needs to be debited by 10,000. Cash in transit needs to be debited by 10,000. This is cash in transit. Or debit kara. Cash in transit debited 10,000. Here we have debited. Cash කරන්නේ asset account එකක් debit balance එක එහෙනම් ආයේ debit කරනවා කියලා කියන්නේ මෙයාගේ balance එක තව වැඩි වෙන්න ඕන එකතු වෙන්න ඕන where to credit receivable from S account needs to be credited 10,000. Here we have receivable from S account. This need to be credited. It means we need to deduct 10,000 cash in transit. Clear? Right? Debit kala, credit kala. Debited to cash in transit account, or we can say cash account, and credited to the receivable from S account. Receivable account credited. Okay. So those are the two other additional information they have provided in example number 4. Now, still we have not completed this one. Why? We need to consider the post-acquisition profits of S Limited. We need to consider the post-acquisition profits of S Limited. S ව acquire කරගත්තට පස්සේ කීයක profit හොයලද? S ව acquire කරගත්තට පස්සේ S company, S Limited earned how much of profit? That figure we should know. So, how can we find that? As at 31st December 2018, I'm saying retained earnings. Retained earnings as at 31st December 2018, how much? If we consider S Limited, what is the retained earnings amount as at the balance sheet date? Balance sheet date එකට මෙයාගේ retained earnings කීයක් තියෙනවද? That is 20,000. Retained earnings as at the acquisition date. Acquisition date is when 31st December 2013. මෙන්න විදිහ තමයි acquire කරගත්තේ. Acquire කරගන්න දවසේ කීයක් තිබිලා තියෙනවද? As at the date of acquisition, what is the amount? Acquire කරගන්න දවසේ retained earnings තිබිලා තියෙන්නේ 12,000. Therefore, what should be the post-acquisition amount? What should be the post-acquisition amount? What? That is 20,000 minus 12,000, 8,000. So this is the post-acquisition amount. May 8,000 අපේද? Is this all 8,000 belongs to the parent company P Limited? No. This should be allocated between whom? Parent company shareholders and other shareholders. This 8,000 need to be allocated between parent company shareholders and other shareholders. I will say here retained earnings of S. Out of this 8,000, what is the percentage that should be allocated to the parent company shareholders? That is 80%. Where 8,000 180ක් යන්න ඕන parent company shareholders. Right? Group retained earnings වලට. මෙතන තමයි parent company shareholders reflect වෙන්නේ. Right? So 6,400 need to be allocated to the group retained earnings. What about the remaining 20%? That should be allocated to the NCI. Other shareholders reflect in NCI column. So the remaining 20% need to be allocated to NCI, other shareholders. Right. Post acquisition done. What else? And also we need to consider the retained earnings of the parent company. What figure එකද ගන්නෙ? Which figure we need to consider? In terms of the parent company, what is the figure we need to consider here? But that should be the year-end balance. What is the year-end balance of the retained earnings of parent company? That is this one, 80,000. 80,000. Okay, right. Is there anything we need to do? Is there anything remaining us to do here in this sum? Yes, that is what. That is what. Can anyone of you tell me what is that? What is remaining for us to do here? What is left with us to do? What? Yes, right. As per SLFRS 10, we need to set off intercompany balances. We need to set off intercompany balances. මතකයි නේද LKS 1 කතා කරද්දි කිව්වා මොකද්ද? Unless it is prescribed in another accounting standard, in normal circumstances we cannot set off any accounts, assets to liabilities mainly. set off කරන්න බෑ. LKS 1 වල කිව්වා එහෙම කියද්දිම කිව්ව මොකද්ද? වෙන ස්ටෑන්ඩඩ් එක විශේෂයෙන්ම කියලා නැත්තම්. But in SLFRS 10 they specifically mentioned that in consolidation we need to set off intercompany balances. Right? We need to set off intercompany balances. Is there any intercompany balances? Yes, payable to P and receivable from S. These are intercompany balances we need to set off. See the figures here. Payable to P, what is the balance? 40,000. Receivable from S. Once we pass this adjustment again, what is the balance there? Then again that will also become 40,000. So 40,000 to 40,000 we can set off. 40,000. This is intercompany balance. Here also this 40,000 we can set off or eliminate. 40,000 is what? Intercompany balance. Intercompany balance. That's all. Right? That's all what we have to do. So we can take the balances here. What is the balance of the goodwill account after allocated for the impairment? It should be 25,000. What about NCI? 12,600. Group retained earnings 82,400. Okay, goodwill 25,000. You can have the figure here. 25,000. Group retained earnings 82,400. 82,400. NCI 12,600. හරිනම් මොකද වෙන්න ඕනේ මේ දෙන්නගේ එකතුව මෙන්න මේ දෙන්නගේ එකතුව වෙනම පෙන්නන්න ඕන මොකක් කියලාද equity attributable to parent company shareholders, right? That need to be done. That is a requirement in the standard, but here I have not taken up. But when you are doing the sums, please make sure you disclose it separately. Okay, and the total of these three, parent company shareholder, equity attributable to parent company shareholders, and NCI, we only recognize as what? Equity, total equity. Okay, here 140,000 plus 10,000 will become 150,000. Here the balance will be nil, and cash the balance will be 80,000. So the total assets should be 255,000. Liability is 60,000, payable to be intercompany set off. So the balance here should be 255,000. Our balance sheet should balance at the figure 255,000. Right. Again, just to recap, what are the steps we have followed here? We have mapped the acquisition information. Acquisition information map. This is what we have done at first. We have mapped the acquisition information. Then as the second step, what we have done, we have ruled for the consolidated financial statements and including its workings. Rule karagani. Rule karagani the workings, especially what we need to do, right? With respect to each subsidiary we are having, we should have two columns. අපිට තියෙන subsidiary එකකට columns දෙක ගන්න එන්න ඕන. Apart from that, we should have our group retained earnings column. Okay, that is the second thing. And as the third step, what we have done, assets and liabilities, we have done the line by line addition. With respect to stated capital, we have considered the parent company's year-end amount. That is the third step. As the fourth step, what we have done, we have computed the goodwill. How? Investment plus NCI minus net assets. NCI, right? So keep in mind, it need to be debited here and credited to the NCI account. Okay, that is the step. Roll kara, assets and liabilities. Then as the fourth step, we need to compute the goodwill value, right? And then as the fifth step, what we need to do, we need to consider the adjustments or the other additional informations we need to treat. That is the fifth step. If there are some other additional information in the sum apart from the acquisition information, we need to treat them. They are specifically, we need to follow the double entries. We need to be, right? We need to be careful with the double entries. Okay, other additional information we need to treat as the fifth step. And then as the sixth step, we need to consider the post-acquisition amount. We need to consider the post-acquisition amounts and allocate these amounts between parent company shareholders and other shareholders. That is sixth step. And also we need to consider the parent company's year-end amount when it's come to retained earnings. Retained earnings for the parent company year-end amount we consider. And then we need to look for the intercompany balances and eliminate those. Intercompany balances eliminate. So those are the steps we have followed. Clear? So once you follow these steps, it will not be that much difficult, right? It will not be that much difficult. How difficult the sum is, how big the sum is. Cannot up your steps take a follow in theory. Right. Okay, so this is example number 4. Any doubts, anything you need to clarify with regards to example number 4? Example number 4 doubt simple steps, simple few steps that we have followed. Okay. Right. So we'll take a break. And now the time is 9:36. Please come back by 9:50. And please come back by 9:50. We will example number 5. I think you can do. Right. Okay, first you come back by 9:50, then we will decide what to do. Right, take a break and come back by 9:50. Okay. Example number 6. Statement of financial positions as at 31st December 2018 are given below. P Limited and S Limited separately, they have given us the balance sheets. Right. And further they are saying what? What are the other information they have provided? P acquired 32,000 shares in S on 1st of January 2018. The fair value of the identifiable net assets was 100,000 rupees. Any excess of fair value can be attributed to increase in value building which are being depreciated over 10 years. And they have given the NCI. If NCI value is given, it means NCI is measured at fair value. During the year 2018, estimated profit of 10,000. During the year, S sold goods to P and P sold goods to S, and they, yes, the remaining amounts, this additional information they have given. Right. In which format the sum is? What is our first step? Format what should be our first step? So this is different to the previous examples we have discussed, isn't it? We need to map the given information. That is the first thing we need to do. We need to map the given information. We need to map the given information. Okay. So let's do that first. What are the things we should know? What are the things we should know? On which date we have acquired. Right? On which date we have acquired. That we should know. We are going to map the acquisition information. We are going to map the acquisition information. P acquired 32,000 shares of S on 1st of January 2018. 1st of January 2018, P has acquired 32,000 shares of S Limited. 32,000 shares out of how many shares? 32,000 shares out of how many shares? Shares කීයකින්ද මේ 32000ක් ගන්නෙ? He acquired 32,000 shares. Out of how many that they have acquired 32,000 shares? Out of how many? Shares කීයක් තියෙන තැනකින්ද මේ 32000ක් ගන්නෙ? Answer is in front of your eyes. පේන්නව තියෙනවා උත්තරේ. Here. What? Yes, 40,000. Yes, here. Stated capital, 1 share equals 1 rupees. 1 share equals 1 rupee. So we are concerning on this one, S Limited. So if they have stated capital worth of 40,000 means how many shares do they have? They have 40,000 shares, 1 rupee each. So they have 40,000 shares. Out of that, P acquiring 32,000 shares. As a percentage, it should be how much? What is the percentage? Acquisition percentage should be what? 32 over 40 equals what? 80%. The shares gaining acquisition percentage. In this example, the acquisition percentage is not directly given, but with the provided information, we should able to find the acquisition percentage. Right. What else we need to know? We know the acquired date or the acquisition date. We know the acquiree and the acquirer. And we know the acquisition percentage. What else we should know? We know the investment value. Investment value we should know. And as at the acquisition date, the identifiable net assets of S Limited we should know. So what are the equity components we have here in this sum? Again, we have only stated capital and retained earnings. We have stated capital and retained earnings. Stated capital, it does not change usually. So we can say 40,000 worth of stated capital were there as at the date of acquisition. Okay, right. So what else it is given? We acquired 32,000 shares in S on 1st of January 2018. The fair value of the identifiable net assets was 100,000. Fair value of the identifiable net assets was 100,000. ඒ කියන්නේ මොකක්ද? මෙතනින් අපිට එන්නේ මොකක්ද? Book value එක. This is book value of identifiable net assets. They are saying what? There can be fair value adjustments as well. After this fair value adjustments, the fair value of identifiable net assets equals to what figure? 100,000. 100,000. Clear? Right. Any excess of fair value can be attributed to increase in value of buildings which being depreciated over 10 years. Right? Which being depreciated over 10 years. එතකොට book value එකට වඩා fair value එක වැඩි වෙලා තිබ්බොතින් ඒ වැඩිවීම මොකක් විදියට සලකන්න කියලා තියෙනවද? Fair value adjustment is relating to what? Increase in value of what? Increase in the value of building. Right? Building. A depreciable asset. Building. How many years do we need to depreciate? Being depreciated over 10 years. Being depreciated over 10 years. The useful life of the building is 10 years. Okay. Which are being depreciated over 10 years. Right. So this is what they have given. And what is investment value? We can take it from the balance sheet. What should be the investment value? What is the investment value? To acquire 80% of S, how much P Limited has paid? How much P Limited has paid? Here. What is the investment value? Kalingana investment එක මෙච්චරයි කියලා බෙලවම දුන්නා. But here we have not given, but still we can find that value. What is the investment value? Yes, that is 75,000. Here investment in S. To invest in S, P has incurred how much? 75,000. So the investment value is 75,000. Right. NCI on this date was valued at 15,000 rupees. It means NCI is measured at fair value and the value should be 15,000. Value should be 15,000. Okay. Then, have we completed our acquisition informations? No, we don't know these figures yet. Right? We need to find these figures as well. Then what they say? During the year 2018, S made a profit of 10,000. S means our subsidiary. During the year 2018, our subsidiary has made a profit of 10,000. Right? We'll have it here. During 2018, during 2018, during profit for the year here. Profit for the year is how much? 10,000. As at 31st December, as at 31st December 2018, profit for the year 10,000 as at 31st December 2018, what is the retained earnings balance of S Limited? අවුරුද්ද ඇතුළත කියන්නේ 2018 අවුරුද්ද ඇතුළත 10000ක profit හොයලා. Our accounting period here ends on 31st December 2018. So as at December 2018, what is the retained earnings figure of S Limited? That is maybe 60,000. That is 60,000. So as at 1st of January 2018, then what should be the retained earnings figure? Yeah, we are going to predict that. Now we can find that value. What should be that value? අවුරුද්ද ඇතුළත 10000ක profit හොයලා නම් තියෙන්නේ. අවුරුද්ද අග balance එක 60000යි කියලා දීලා තියෙනවා නම් අවුරුද්ද මුල කීයක් තිබ්බද කියලා අපිට හොයාගන්න බැරිද? පුළුවන්. කීයක් තිබිලා තියෙනවද? What is the balance? අවුරුද්ද මුල කියන්නේ 1st of January 2018. What is the balance? What should be the retained earnings balance of S Limited? That should be what? Yes, that is 50,000. That is 50,000. Okay. That is 50,000. 50,000. As at when? As at when? As at 1st of January 2018. What is the specialty about this date? This is the acquisition date. Therefore, as at the acquisition date, what was the retained earnings amount of S Limited? That is 50,000. ගාන මොන විදියට දුන්නත් මේ information ටික අපි දැනගන්න ඕන. Right? We need to find a way to take these figures. As at 1st of January 2018 means that is the acquisition date. So as at the acquisition date, the retained earnings of S Limited is 50,000. Then what should be the book value of identifiable net assets? That should be 90,000. That is 90,000. Then you can see there is a gap. The book value is 90,000. The fair value of identifiable net assets is 100,000. There is a 10,000 gap. This is what? This should be the fair value adjustment of building. As a result of assessing the fair value of assets, the value of the building has gone up by 10,000. Up by 10,000. See, now have we completed our acquisition information, the mapping of our acquisition information? Yes, we completed. We know the acquisition date, acquirer and acquiree, acquisition percentage, investment value, as at the acquisition date, the fair value of identifiable net assets, and also the NCI value. අපි දැනගන්න ඕන acquisition එකට අදාළ දැනගන්න ඕන ඔක්කොම තොරතුරු ටික දැන් අපි දන්නවා. Right. Okay. Then we can rule the sum. Here P Limited Group receivable from SK එකක් නෑ නේද මේක. Take this one. Right. Non-current assets payable to P කියලා හිතුවා. Right. Non-current assets. Non-current assets. Line by line addition, 100,000 plus 50,000, that is 150,000. Goodwill we will take from work in number 1. Cash, Nivedian inventories. Inventories. And we have one another row for current assets. Right, inventories 12,000 plus 5,000, that is 17,000. Current assets 83,000 plus 95,000, that is 178,000. Stated capital, what is the figure we need to consider? Parent company's year-end amount. Parent company's year-end amount, that is 50,000. 50,000. Retained earnings we will take from work in number 1. NCI also will take from work in number 1. Liabilities, line by line addition, 100,000 plus 50,000, that is 150,000. So when you are doing your sums, you know, right? The sum of these two should be what? Parent company equity attributable to parent company shareholders plus NCI will form total equity. Right. Okay. Okay, we have mapped the given acquisition information, and then we have done the line by line addition with respect to assets and liabilities, and in terms of stated capital we have considered the parent company's year-end amount. Okay, now what we need to do? We need to compute what? Goodwill. We need to compute goodwill. How? Investment plus NCI minus net assets. What is the investment value? What is the investment value? See, investment value is how much? 75,000. Investment value is 75,000. The value of NCI, 15,000. Value of NCI, 15,000. Cost of control account debit, NCI account credit. Fair value of identifiable net assets, that is 100,000. So we need to deduct that here, 100,000. Therefore, the goodwill value should be minus 10,000 right? Minus 10,000. So is there any goodwill now? Is it a goodwill value? Can we consider it as an asset here? Is it a goodwill? දහදහ කියන්නේ goodwill එකද? නෑනේ. ඔතන ධනාගයක් ආව නම් තමයි goodwill කියලා කියන්නේ. ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ ඍණාගයක්. එහෙනම් මේ කවුද? අනිත් එක්කෙනා මොකද්ද? What is this? Yes, this is gain on bargain purchase. Gain on bargain purchase. What we need to do with respect to this gain on bargain purchase? Gain on bargain purchase, GBP. So for the moment I will write gain on bargain purchase. Cost of control account එකකින් goodwill account එකට නෙවෙයි යන්න ඕන. කොහටද? Cost of control account එක debit වෙලා කොහටද යන්න ඕන? Cost of control account එක debit වෙලා කොහටද යන්න ඕන? Cost of control account එක debit වෙලා. ඒ කියන්නේ මෙන්න මෙහෙම කරලා. දැන් ඒක balance එකක් නෑනේ ඕකේ. 1000 10,000. Where to credit? It should goes to our group retained earnings. Right? Parent company profit එකක් විදියට ඒක අඳුර ගන්නවා. Not as an asset but as a profit. Profit for the parent company. Right? So it need to be credited to the group retained earnings. Group retained earnings. Here. Otherwise it is misleading. Right? This need to be credited here, 10,000. So it means the goodwill balance will be nil. There is not nil. That is not right there. As a result of the acquisition, goodwill has not been generated. But what? But the gain on bargain purchase is there, worth of 10,000. Okay, that need to be transferred to the group retained earnings. Group retained earnings. Okay. Here, what about this 10,000? What about this 10,000? Is it in our books of account? මේ fair value adjustment එක නිසා acquisition එක නිසා fair value assess කරා fair value assess කරපු නිසා අපි අඳුනගත්ත දෙයක්. It is not already in our books of account. It is not reflected here. So we need to take it into the books of account, right? Therefore, what we need to do here, we need to add this 10,000. 10,000. This is fair value adjustment. Fair value adjustment. Okay. In this 150,000, this 10,000, the fair value adjustment is not reflected. So we need to consider it separately. We need to consider it separately. Okay. And our accounting period ends on which date? It ends on 31st December 2018. It ends on 31st December 2018. Okay. Building is a depreciable asset, unlike land. Kaliන් examples දෙකේ ප්‍රශ්නයක් තිබෙන්නේ ඇයි? Fair value adjustment එක තිබ්බේ land එකකට. Lands are non-depreciable assets, but here it is associated with the building, a depreciable asset. It should be depreciated over 10 years. Therefore, what we need to consider, we need to consider the depreciation as well. We need to consider the depreciation as well. Right. Building depreciation. Building depreciation. ඔය asset එක අඳුනගෙන නැහැ කියලා කියන්නේ asset එක අඳුනගෙන නැති නිසානේ අපි මෙතන ආයෙ එකතු කරලා ගත්තේ. අඳුනගෙන නැහැ කියලා මෙතන පෙන්නන්නේ නැහැ කියන්නේ. මොකක් වෙලාද? එයා depreciate කරලා නැහැ. So we need to depreciate it. We need to depreciate it for this period. Okay, building depreciation. What to debit, what to credit? You know this, debit and credit. Building depreciation. Where to debit? Where to credit? Depreciate from what kame age එකක් වෙනවද? what kame age අඩු වෙනවා. එහෙනම් building account or the asset account. Building account. Say building asset account. Building asset account need to be credited by how much? Depreciation කීයද? කීයක් depreciate කළා නැද්ද? කොච්චර ගණන් depreciate කළා නැද්ද? acquire කරගත්ත දවසේ ඉඳන් අද වෙනකන් depreciate කළා නැහැ. From the acquisition date to date, right? To the date where we are preparing consolidated statement of consolidated financial statements, we have not depreciated, right? Or we can say under depreciation. Built in under depreciation. කළා නැහැ. Depreciate කළා නැහැ. So what is the amount? What is the amount? කීයක් අඩුවෙන්ද depreciate කරලා තියෙන්නේ? Under depreciation value එක කීයද? Under depreciation value එක කීයද? What is the amount under depreciated? Yes, that is 1010. So here මෙදායින කොච්චර කාලයකට පස්සේද? අවුරුද්දකට පස්සේ. එහෙනම් අවුරුද්දක depreciations අපි කරලා නැහැ with respect to this building. So we need to do that depreciation. 10,000 over 10 years, that is 1,000. So building asset account credit 1,000. Where to debit? Where to debit? මෙතන විදියට නම් group, not group. කියන්න අමතක. Where to debit? මේ asset එක කාගේද? මේ asset එක කාගේද? උත්තර දෙකයි තියෙන්නේ. එක්ක P එක නැත්නම් S එක. ඔය දෙන්නගෙන් කාගේද මේ asset එක? Is it belonging to P or is it belonging to S? කාගේද? console කරාට පස්සේ දෙන්නටම යනවා තමයි. මේ asset එක කාගේද? ඇත්තටම මේ asset එක කාගේද? Is it belonging to P or is it belonging to S? To whom does this building belongs to? Yes, this is the building of S. This asset is belonging to S. Me asset එක S ගේ, not belonging to P. P के නෙමෙයි, parent company නෙමෙයි, S ගේ asset එකක්. එහෙනම් මේකේ depreciation එක කවුද දරා ගන්නෝ? Depreciation expense එක කවුද දරා ගන්නෝ? Who should bear the depreciation expense of this asset? That also should be bared by කවුද? S limited subsidiary. මෙයාගේ නම් asset එක depreciation එක දරා ගන්න ඕන මෙයාම තමයි. Therefore, where to debit? We need to debit it to retained earnings of S limited. ඒ කියන්නේ මෙයා නෙවෙයි. මේ group retained earnings. මේ group retained earnings. We should not debit it to group retained earnings, but to where? To the retained earnings of S. Retained earnings of S means what? මෙන්න මෙතන post acquisition amount එක එනවනේ, right? Here we may have the post acquisition amount, no? Here we may have a figure, and this is the post acquisition amount. From this we need to deduct, debit, right? That is the idea. That the amount is 1000. Okay, right. Built-in asset account credit 1000. This is the asset account. This need to be credited, means we need to deduct 1000. This 1000 is what? Under depreciation. Under depreciation. Under depreciation. Okay. On a credit kara. Where to debit? Where to debit? Debit it to the retained earnings of S, not group retained earnings. Group retained earnings වලට නෙවෙයි. Parent company asset එකක් නෙවෙයි මේ depreciate කරලා නැත්තේ. Subsidiary එකේ asset එකක්. එහෙනම් මෙයා debit වෙන්න ඕන කොතනටද? Retained earnings of S. It means, right, we supposed to find the post acquisition amount. From that we need to debit the under depreciation of building. Under depreciation of building, that is 1000. Debit 1000. අඩු කරන්න අයියෝ. Okay. First of January 2008. Okay. මේක අඩු කරේ ඇයි කියලා තේරෙනව නේද? Retained earnings කියන්නේ මොන balance එකක්ද? ඒක equity component එකක්. එහෙනම් credit balance එකක්. We need to debit. Credit balance එකක් තියෙන තැනක debit කරනවා කියලා කියන්නේ මේ balance එක අඩු වෙනවා. That's why we deduct it. Okay. So building under depreciation we have considered. Okay. That is done. Then what? Then the other additional information. During the year, S sold goods to P for 80,000 rupees, which was purchased at a cost of 60,000. During the year, S sold goods to P for 80,000, which was purchased at a cost of 60,000. Intercompany sales, intercompany cost of sales අයින් වෙනවා තමයි. ඒ අරින්න ලොකු ඉෂුව එකක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. Right? During the year, S sold goods to P for 80,000, which was purchased at a cost of 60,000 rupees. Right. As at 31st December 2018, inventory of P included 5,000 being the price paid to purchase from S. අන්න එතනයි මෙන්න මේ 5000 ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ. During the year, S sold goods to P. Subsidiary එක parent sales කරලා. ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. ප්‍රශ්නේ වෙන්නේ කොතනින්ද? ප්‍රශ්නේ වෙන්නේ එහෙම කරපු sales වලින්, right? ඔය ඉන්වෙන්ටරි එක විකිනෙන්නේ නැතුව P ගාව ඉතුරු වෙලා තිබ්බනම් අන්න එතන ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා. That will lead to what? Unrealized profits. That will lead to unrealized profits. I will take it like this. These things you already know, but again, just to recap, I will say, let's say like this. Okay. Okay. In a house, assume there is a husband and wife. Husband and wife. මෙයාට ඕනනම් H කියමු, මෙයාට W. Husband and wife. Right. Although these two are two separate individuals, two separate persons, they are living in one house. ගෙදරක ඉන්නේ මේ දෙන්නම. පුද්ගලයෝ වශයෙන් ගත්තොත් දෙන්නෙක් තමයි. Like our P limited and S limited. These are two separate individuals, but they are living in one house. ගෙදරක ඉන්නේ. Okay. And assume, right? Assume the husband of the family, this guy, has purchased a stock worth of 1,000. Has purchased a stock worth of 1,000. එතකොට ඔය 1,000 මෙයා accounts තියාගන්නේ කොහොමද? ඔය 1,000 කියන value එක මෙයා accounts තියාගන්නේ කොහොමද? Cash credit 1,000. Debit වෙන්නේ මොනවද? What is being debited? Inventory. නැත්නම් stock එකක් නෙන්නේ. Inventory debit 1,000. Right. And what this husband can do is he can sell the same stock to his wife for a price 200 than the purchase price. මේ ගත්ත stock එකම තව 200ක් add කරලා එයාට පුළුවන් එයාගේ wife ට විකුණන්න. Can happen. Then what will happen? In terms of, right? In terms of මේ දෙන්නගේ accounts ගන්න වෙනවා. මේ මෙයාගේ මේ husband. Okay. Once he sold this to 200. Sorry, once he sold the same inventory to 1,200 to his wife, 200ක profit එකක් add කරලා මේ 1000 stock එක විකුණනවා කියන්නේ කීයකටද විකුණන්නේ? 1200කට. එතකොට මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ? Inventory. Wife king cash out එකක් යනවා 1200ක්. Wife king cash එළියට යනවා 1200ක්. ඔය 1200 කාට ලැබෙනවද? Husband ලැබෙනවා. එයාට cash ලැබෙනවා 1200ක්. Husband ගාව තිබ්බ මේ inventory 1000ම transfer වෙනවා කාටද? Wife හැබැයි wife inventory විදියට කීයක් record කරගන්නවද? Not 1,000. She records it as 1,200. ඇයි එයා 1200ක තෝ කියන්නේ ගන්න? Cash 1200ක් ගියා, inventory 1200ක් ආවා. ඒ wife record කරගන්න විදිය. So what is this remaining 200? What is this remaining 200? That is the profit. That is the profit earned by the husband. 200. Right. So from a person, right, from an individual who looking at this from an outside perspective, එළියේ ඉඳන් මෙන්න මේ transaction එක දිහා බලන කෙනෙක්ට මොකද්ද පේන්නේ? 1000ක තොගයක් කිය 1000ක තොගයක් ඇතුළට ආවා. එහෙනම් ඒක මෙයාලා ගාව තාම තියෙනවා ඇති. මෙයාලා ගාව එහෙනම් 1000ක ස්ටොක් එකක් තියෙනවා ඇති. එළින බලකට එහෙමනේ පේන්නේ. 1000ක ඉන්වෙන්ටරි එකක් ඇතුළට ඇවිල්ලා විතරයි. කොහෙන්වත් එළියට ගිහිල්ලා නැහැ. Then what should, right? So the inventory value should be what then? 1000. Is there any profit? No, nothing. එළියෙන් බලනකොට එහෙම පේන්නේ. එළියෙන් බලන්නේ මේ කවුද දැන්? These are shareholders. These are shareholders. දැන් එයාලටනේ අපි මේ accounts financial statements ඔක්කොම හදලා යවන්නේ. එතකොට එයාට පේන්න ඕනේ මේ විදියට. 1000ක තොගයක් ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ මේක කොහෙන්වත් එළියට ගිහිල්ලා නැහැ. එහෙනම් මෙයාලා ගාව 1000ක තොගයක් තියෙන්න ඕන. profits මුකුත් generate වෙන්න නැහැ. 1000ක තොගයක් ඇතුළට ඇවිල්ලා විතරයි. එළියට මුකුත් ගිහිල්ලා නැහැ. So there should not be any profits and the stock value should be 1000. But here, what is the inventory value they are showing at now? Then මෙයාලා පෙන්නන inventory value එක කීයද? What? මේ දෙන්න combine කරාට පස්සේ එයාලා පෙන්නන inventory value එක කීයද? What? We'll take it here. What about the cash account? මේ දෙන්නම එකතු කරාට පස්සේ cash account එක මොකක්ද වෙන්නේ? Debit 1200, credit 1200. ඒ දෙක cancel වෙලා යනවා. මෙන්න මෙතන credit වෙලා තියෙනවා 1000ක් එච්චරයි. Inventory account එක ගත්තොත් එතන මොකද්ද වෙලා තියෙන්නේ? Right? 1200. So debit පැත්තේ තියෙනවා all together how many? 1200 plus this 1000, 2200. Credit පැත්තේ තියෙනවා 1000. It means the net balance should be 1200 inventory. And also they have a profit. Combine කරලා ගත්තට පස්සේ profit එකකුත් තියෙනවා. කීයකද? Profit එකකුත් තියෙනවා කීයකද? 200. They also have a profit worth of 200. But for someone who look at these transactions from an outside perspective, should be there any profits? Profit would generate velada? No. Then this is what then? This is what? This is actually not exist. ඇත්තටම නැති 200ක් තමයි මේ මොකක් කරලා තියෙන්නේ? පොත්වල පෙන්නලා තියෙන්නේ. මේ 200 generate උනේ ඇයි? Because of the intercompany transactions. Because of these intercompany transactions. Right? So what we need to do then? එහෙනම් මොකද්ද අපි කරන්න ඕනේ? මේ realize වෙච්ච නැති, මේ පවතින නැති, මේ exist නැති. ඇත්තටම මෙහෙම 200ක් profit එකක් නැහැ. එහෙනම් මේවා මොකක් කරන්න ඕනේ? This should be eliminated. This should be eliminated. Profit එකෙන් අයින් වෙන්නත් ඕන, inventory එකෙන් අයින් වෙන්නත් ඕන. නැත්නම් inventory 1200යි කියලා වෙන්න. No, it should be 1000. 1000ක් ඇතුළට ඇවිල්ලා විතරයි. එහෙනම් inventory එකේ තියෙන්න ඕන 1000ක් විතරයි. But it is showing as 1200. That should not be happen. So this is what we called the unrealized profit adjustment. Right? Unrealized profit adjustment. එතකොට මෙයා අරගෙන කවුරු හරි inventory එක stock එක මෙයා ගාව ඉතුරු වුණොත් it will lead to unrealized profit. It will lead to unrealized profit. And now assume, right, husband has purchased a stock worth of 1000, adding a 200 margin. He has sold it to his wife, and the wife has sold all this stock to an outside party 2500. මේක පොඩ්ඩක් expand කරා. husband 1000ට ගත්තා. එයා 1200ට ඒක wife ට වික්කා. 1200ට wife මේ ගත්ත stock එක එයා 1500ට තව කාට හරි outside party එකකට විකුණනවා. සම්පූර්ණ stock එක. Then how this transaction will be recorded by this person, wife? 1200 stock එක යාගෙන් යනවා. Credit. Cash එනවා කීයක්ද? 1500. Okay. And what is this remaining 300? That is the profit. That is the profit figure. That is the profit figure. Now, for a person looking, right, from an outside perspective, එළියෙන් බලන කෙනෙකුට මොකද්ද පේන්නේ? එළියෙන් බලන කෙනෙකුට මොකද්ද පේන්නේ? 1000ක stock එකක් ආවා. ඒක 1500කට විකුණුවා. 1000ක stock එකක් ආවා. ඒක 1500ට විකුණනවා. මම මේ පැත්තෙන් ගත්තොත් මේව දැන් කම්බයින් කරලා තින් කොහමද එන්නේ? cash account එකේ කීයක් තියෙනවද? How much should be in the cash account? ඒක පටල ගන්න එපා. මෙතන stock එක remaining නා. Remaining stock. When there is a remaining stock. This is what has happened and we need to eliminate unrealized profit. It means this 200. We need to eliminate. Here in this second situation, cash account එක combine කරද්දී කීයක් එනවද? Debit පැත්තේ තියෙනවා 1200 plus 1500 2700, credit side 2200, but that is debiting 500. මේ දෙන්න combine කරද්දී debit පැත්තේ 500ක් ඇති. What about the inventory? What about the inventory? Is there any balance? 1200 plus 2200 in the debit side, again 2200 in the credit side. The balance will be nil. No balance. What about the profit? What about the profit? Here it is 200, here it is 300, so altogether 500. For a person looking outside, right? In an outside perspective, what you can see? 1000ක තොගයක් ආවා, ඒක 1500කට විකුණා. කීයක profit හොයාගෙන තියෙනවද? 500ක profit හොයාගෙන තියෙනවා. Isn't it what is reflected here? Yes, they have earned a profit of 500. Is there any inventory? No, there should not be any inventory. It is reflected correctly in our consolidated accounts, right? And yes, cash 500. Cash වලට තව 500ක් එකතු වෙලා. නැත්නම් asset එකක් තව 500ක generate වෙනවා. So here, if we have sold this total stock for an outsider, will there be any unrealized profit then? මෙතන realize වෙච්ච නැති profit මොකක්වත් පෙන්නනවද? නැහැ. Then if the stock is remaining at one of these two parties, then only it will lead to unrealized profit. ගත්ත ස්ටොක් එක සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම එළියට යනවා නම් කිසිම ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. unrealized profit මුකුත් generate වෙන්නේ නැහැ. combine කරාට පස්සේ හරිම figure එක අපේ accounts වලට automatically එනවා. ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ කොතනද? අපි ගත්ත එකක් සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම එළියට විකිරලා නැත්නම් ඒ ස්ටොක් එක අපි දෙන්නගෙන් කාගාව හරි parent හරි subsidiary හරි කාගාව හරි not parent හරි මෙතන මේ example එකේ විදිහට නම් මෙන්න මෙයා ගාව ඉතුරු වෙලා තියෙනවා නම් remaining stock ඉතුරු වෙලා තියෙනවා නම් අන්න එතන තමයි මොකක් තියෙන්නේද? unrealized profit එකක් තියෙන්නේ. That is what we need to find and eliminate, right? එහෙනම් sales intercompany sales transactions උනා කියලා ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ කොතනද? ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ එහෙම sales වෙලා අදාළ stock එක parent ගාව හරි subsidiary ගාව හරි අවුරුද්ද අන්තිමට විකිරෙන්නේ නැතුව ඉතුරු වුණොත්. Right? If it is being unsold and remaining at the stores, then only the problem of unrealized profit arises. So in such situations, we need to specifically find the unrealized profit amount and eliminate it from our books of account. Okay. Now, stores වල කොච්චරක් ඉතුරු වුණාද කියන තැනින් තමයි ප්‍රශ්නේ පටන් ගන්නෙ. That will lead to unrealized profit. Hope you got it. Okay. So here, what it says. So I'll take a new one. Here what they have told, during the year S sold goods to P for 80,000. Company S subsidiary has sold goods to company P for 8,000. 80,000. Selling price 80,000. Which was purchased at a cost of 60,000. purchase price 60,000 60,000ට ගත් එකක් 80,000කට විකුණලා ඔය 80,000ට විකුණන එක මේ parent company සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම එළියට විකුණනා නම් ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවද? No, nothing. No issue. We need to just eliminate those intercompany sales and cost of sales only. Apart from that, nothing to worry. No unrealized profit will be generated. And here it says what? As at 31st December 2018, inventory of P included 5,000 rupees being the price paid to purchase from S. Inventory of P included 5,000 rupees of stock. Right? මෙයා ගාව remaining stock එක කීයද? Remaining stock එක කීයද? That is 5,000. If there is a remaining stock, that will lead to what? That will lead to unrealized profit. That will lead to unrealized profit. Then we need to find out of this remaining stock what is the unrealized profit amount. මේ 5000ක තොගේ ඇතුලේ කීයක මොනවද තියෙනවද කියලාද? Unrealized profit තියෙනවද කියලා හොයාගන්න ඕන. Right. How can we find that value? How can we find the unrealized profit amount here? If we take in the previous example, if you take that 1,200 worth of stock, how much of unrealized profit were there? How much of profit were there? 1200ක් කියලා y record කරගත්ත තොගේ ඇතුලේ කීයක profit තිබ්බද? 200ක profit තිබ්බා. Like that way here, PME has recorded this as 80,000. Out of this 80,000, how much of profit is there? මේ 80,000 ඇතුලේ කීයක profit තියෙනවද? 20,000ක profit තියෙනවා. Out of this 80,000, there is a profit. There is profit worth of 20,000. Then out of this 5,000, how much of profit will be there? 80,000ක තොගේ ඇතුලේ 20,000ක profit තිබ්බනම් මේ ඉතුරු වෙච්ච 5,000 තොගේ ඇතුලේ කීයක profit ඇද්ද? That is our unrealized profit amount. කීයක් කියනවද? කීයක් කියනවද? 1,250. 1,250. Am I correct? Is this the amount? Unrealized profit amount 1,250. These things you know, right? I know AFA and AFA you have discussed this. 1,250. Yes. So what is the double entry that we need to pass here? What should be the double entry? With respect to this 1,250, what is the double entry we need to pass?
Unrealized profit.
Yes.
Credit.
Are you answering? Oh, what? Okay, right. What should be the double entry here? Now tell me, with whom this profit is? With whom this unrealized profit is with? කාගාවද මේ unrealized profit එක තියෙන්නේ? කාගාවද profit එක ගියේ? S ගාවටද P ගාවටද? කාගාවටද මේ profit එක ගියේ? To whom? With whom this profit is with? ඔය sales transaction එකෙන් profit එක ගියේ කාගේ පැත්තටද? To company S or to company P? කාටද? කාගාවද profit එක තියෙන්නේ? With whom this profit is with? With company S or with company P? S has sold to P. S has sold to P. Then with whom the profit should be with? එහෙනම් කාගාවද profit එක තියෙන්න ඕන? With whom? Yes, with S. With S. Right? The profit is with S. එහෙනම් profit එක record කරගෙන තියෙන්නේ කවුද මේ වෙනකොට? S. S Limited has recorded the profit. එහෙනම් කාගේ profit එකෙන්ද අයින් වෙන්න ඕන? S limited ගේ profit එකෙන් තමයි මේක අයින් වෙන්න ඕන. So we need to eliminate it from S limited's profit. So how the double entry should be then? Now double entry මොකද්ද වෙන්න ඕන? Where to debit? Debit retained earnings of S. Debit retained earnings of S. S ගේ profit එකෙන් අඩු වෙන්න ඕන. S ගේ profit එකෙන් අඩු වෙන්න ඕන. Therefore debit it to retained earnings of S 1250. Where to credit? Where to credit? මෙයා කොතනද අන්තිමට කියලා නැවතිලා ඉන්නේ? ඉන්වෙන්ටරි එක ඇතුලේ. එහෙනම් ඉන්වෙන්ටරි එකෙන් මෙයාව අයින් වෙන්න ඕන. From the inventory account we need to credit 1250. මතකනේ තත්නට ඉන්වෙන්ටරි එකට ආපු විදිය. 1000 එකට ගත්ත එක 200 profit එකක් තියන් ගියාම 1200 කියලා තමයි inventory account එකේ තියෙන්නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ inventory account එකෙන් තමයි reflect වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. So we need to remove it from there. We need to eliminate it from there. So this is the double entry that we need to pass. Okay, sale එක අනිත් පැත්තට වුණා නම් ආයෙ වෙනස් වෙනවා. Here subsidiary has sold to parent. Subsidiary to parent. Okay, so let's pass this entry. Okay. Retained earnings of S account need to be debited 1250. ඒ කියන්නේ මෙන්න මේ කොලම් එකද? මේ කොලම් එකටද යන්න ඕන? මේ 1250 debit කියලා දාලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒක යන්න ඕන මෙන්න මේ කොලම් එකටද? Is it should be in this column? Yes or no? Yes or no? මේ retained earnings of කාගේද? මේ parent ගේ. හැබැයි මෙතන කවුද කියන්නේ? Retained earnings of S. එයා කොතනදී? I mean, right? Post acquisition amount that we need to find. Out of that, we need to debit means we need to deduct 1250. This is what? Unrealized profit. Unrealized profit. Okay. Unrealized profit 1250. On a debit kara retained earnings of S debited 1250. 1250. We have to credit inventory account credit 1250. Inventory account here credit means we need to deduct 1250. This is unrealized profit. It is clear. We need to find what is the unrealized profit amount and then we need to pass the double entry for that. That is it. Okay. That information we have done. And then the last point. P also sold goods to S amounting to 30,000 at a margin of 10% of which 15,000 was remaining with S at the year end. P also sold goods to S Limited. Take it here. Right. Here what has happened? P Limited. P also sold goods to S. P means our parent company has sold goods to S. Amounting to 30,000. Right? Amounting to 30,000. This sale. At a margin of 10%. Margin of 10%. Margin of 10%, of which 15% was remaining with S at the year end. Margin at 10%. Margin, this one I have already discussed. Margin at 10%. Selling price, not selling price. Cost, profit, selling price. Margin at 10% කිව්වොතින් කොහොමද මේ දේවල් වෙනස් වෙන්නේ? No, I will take the other way around. Selling price minus cost will give you the profit figure. Okay. Margin at 10%. Margin කියන්නේ selling price against the cost against. Margin කියන වචනේ තමයි it means based on the selling price or based on the cost. Management accounting. Margin at 10% කිව්වොතින් based on selling price the based on cost. What? Based on margin. What are the two words? Margin and markup. Margin කිව්වොතින් based on selling price. If it is markup, that means based on cost. Margin, here we have given margin at 10%. It means if the selling price is 100, the profit should be 10. What should be the cost then? Cost should be 9. Right. Okay, so we need to find the remaining stock. Remaining stock. Remaining stock equals what? 15% was remaining at the year end. 15% was remaining with S at the year end. අන්නේම remaining stores වල ඉතුරු වුණා නම් තමයි මොකක් වෙන්නේද? Unrealized profit generate වෙන්නේ. Stores වල ඉතුරු වෙලා 100ට කීයක්ද? 115ක්. Out of this 30,000, 15% was remaining at the stock. It means how much? How much of a stock is there at the end of the period in the stores? 4,500 worth of stock is there. Got it? 30,000ක sale එකක් කරලා මේ 30,000න් 115ක් මොකක් වෙලාද? අවුරුද්ද අවසානෙට S ගේ ස්ටොක් එක ඇතුලේ තියෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ 4,500ක තොගයක් මෙන්න මෙයාගේ ස්ටොක් එක ඇතුලේ තියෙනවා. මේ කරපු sale transaction එකේ. එහෙම ඉතුරු වෙලා තිබ්බොතින් it will lead to what? It will lead to unrealized profit. Unrealized profit. So we need to compute how much of profit is included within this 4,500. මේ 4,500 ඇතුලේ කීයක profit එකක් තියෙනවද? That should be our unrealized profit amount. කීයක profit එකක් තියෙනවද? C margin at 10%. එතකොට 100කට විකුණපු එකක් ඇතුලේ කීයක profit එකක් තියෙනවද? 10ක profit එකක් තියෙනවා. එහෙනම් 4,500කට විකුණපු එකක් ඇතුලේ කීයක profit එකක් ඇද්ද? Right? If the selling price is 100, it includes 10% of profit. 10. If the selling price is 100, the profit figure should be 10. If the selling price is 4,500, then what should be the profit? That is our unrealized profit amount. That should be what then? 450. 450. So this is the amount that we need to pass the double entry. Not for the remaining stock, not for anything else, not for this 30,000, but for the what? But for the unrealized profit amount. So with respect to this 450, what is the double entry we can pass? With respect to this 450, what is the double entry we need to pass? එයාට විතරයි අපි double entry එක pass කරන්නේ. මේ අනිත් figures අපිට අදාළ නැහැ. මේ මෙයා ගන්න තමයි අනිත් ඒවා ඕන. What is the double entry we need to pass? කාගාවද profit එක තියෙන්නේ? With whom the profit is with? With whom the profit is with? With company P or with company S? කාගාවද තියෙන්නේ? With company, yes, with company P. Parent company has sold to the subsidiary, so the profit is with company P. Then from the P's profit, from the company P's profit, we need to eliminate this unrealized profit amount. එහෙනම් ඒ මෙයාගාව තියෙන profit එකෙන් තමයි අපි අයින් කරන්න ඕනේ. මෙයාගාව තියෙන profit එක කියන්නේ නම් මොන account එකද? What is the account that need to be debited? Need to be debited to group retained earnings. Parent company again. Group retained earnings account need to be debited 450. Where to credit? Where to credit? මේ දෙන්නගම ඔකතන තියෙන inventory එක ඇතුලේ reflect වෙනවා. inventory එකෙන් අයින් කරන්න ඕන. Inventory account need to be credited by 450. 450. This is the double entry that we need to pass. This is the double entry that we need to pass. Right. So here, group retained earnings account debit. Group retained earnings account. This need to be debited. Unrealized profit. Debit means we need to deduct 450. We need to deduct 450 rupees. Unrealized profit. On a debit kara. Where to credit? Inventory account credit. Here we have inventories. This need to be credited means we need to deduct 450. Unrealized profit. Okay. Group retained earnings debit and inventory account credit. Okay. So those are all the other additional information that they have provided. What else we need to do? What else we need to do? We need to consider the post acquisition amounts. As at the balance sheet date, what is the retained earnings balance of S Limited or our subsidiary? That is 60,000. That is 60,000. As at the acquisition date, acquire කරගන්නදී කීයක් තිබ්බද? It is not here. කීයක් තිබ්බද? We have computed that. It was 50,000. Therefore, the post acquisition amount is what? 10,000. Acquire කරගත්තට පස්සේ අපේ subsidiary එක 10,000ක profit හොයලා. But we have passed, right? But we have to do certain adjustments for these figures. We have debited the under depreciation amount and the unrealized profit. Where S has sold to P. Then what is the balance? What is the balance here? 10,000 minus these two figures. It is 7,750. This is what we need to allocate between parent company shareholders and NCL. This is what we need to allocate between parent company shareholders and NCL. Okay. What is the effective holding percentage? That is here 80%, no? Yes, 80%. It means 7,750 into 80% should belongs to parent company shareholders, and out of this 7,750, 20% should belongs to NCL. Post acquisition profits of S Limited we have allocated between parent company shareholders and NCI, other shareholders. With respect to the retained earnings of the parent company, what we need to consider? We need to consider the year-end balance. That is what? 100 and not 120,000. That is 60,000. This figure, that is 60,000. Not 60,000. Yes, that should be 120,000. Parent company's year-end amount 120,000. 120,000. Okay. So we have considered the post-acquisition amounts as well. Then what? Then what? Is there any intercompany balances? No, there is no intercompany balances. So we can finalize our answer. There is no any goodwill. There is a gain on bargain purchase. The NCI value should be here 16,550, and the group retained earnings balance should be 135,750. Okay. Non-current assets 150,000 plus 10,000 minus 1,000. It should be 159,000. Goodwill, there is no any goodwill resulted from the acquisition. Therefore, the balance should be nil. Goodwill, right? The balance should be nil. There is a gain on bargain purchase, not a goodwill. Inventories 17,000 minus 1,250 minus 450, that is 15,300. 15,300. Current assets, that is 178,000. Therefore, total asset figure should be 3,000, not 300, 352,300. Right. Retained earnings, group retained earnings figure. Here we have 135,750. 135,750. NCI from the working we can take 16,550. 16,550. Here the summation of these two is what? Equity attributable to parent company shareholders. That should be 185,750. Liabilities, no any adjustments, so we can take the figure as it is 150,000. Therefore, total equity and liabilities should be 352,300. 352,300. Therefore, our balance sheet should balance at this particular figure. Okay. Although the type or the format has been different, in the way the sum has provided for us, the steps or the procedure that we have followed, we have not changed. Steps follow the procedures mapping, and then assets and liabilities line by line addition, stated capital, parent company's year-end amount, calculate goodwill. If it is a gain on bargain purchase, transfer it to the group retained earnings account, and then what? Then the adjustments, whether there's impairment, unrealized profit, right? All those other stuff. And then finally, we need to consider the post-acquisition amount that need to be allocated between parent company shareholders and group other shareholders. And if there are any intercompany balances, we need to set off, and that's it. Okay. Right. Is there anything in this sum that I need to explain again? If not, we can take another break and come back. Is there anything I need to explain again? Anything? All right. We simply follow those procedures. From the example number 1, what we have done is the same. The same procedure we have followed. Right? The sums getting complex and getting more complex and complex, but the steps, the procedures we have not changed. Okay, so we'll take a break. Now the time is 11:25. Please come back by 11:40. Right? Please come back by 11:40 and try example number 7. Try example number 7. Okay. Right. So we'll discuss example number 7. First, what is the thing we need to do? We need to map these given information. Right. So once it is mapped, it should look like this. On 1st of January 2017, on 1st of January 2017, P has acquired 80% of S for 100,000. And as at the acquisition date, the fair value of identifiable net assets of S Limited was 120,000, of which is 12,000 belonging to the brand value. We supposed to amortize it over 6 years. Stated capital, we can take it from the balance sheet, that is 80,000. And we know the year-end balance. We know the year-end balance of subsidiaries' retained earnings, and that is 35,000. And they have separately given us the profit for the year for 2017 as well as for 2018. We are preparing financial statements as at this date, 31st December 2018. It means after 2 years of acquisition. After 2 years of acquisition, for these 2 years, the profit for the year they have separately given. From that, using that in particular information, we can find the retained earnings of the subsidiary of S company as at 1st of January 2017. That should be 20,000. Therefore, the book value of identifiable net assets is 100,000. The brand value they have given 12,000. The remaining figure should be what? Should be allocated to buildings. Why? It is given in the sum. If there is an excess, we need to consider it as the fair value increase in buildings. Buildings are supposed to depreciate over 10 years. These informations, all these informations have been provided in the sum. And further, they say NCI should be measured at proportionate basis. So the NCI percentage is 20%. So 20% out of this 120,000, that is 24,000 should be the value of NCI. And so this should be your acquisition information. Acquisition information. Right. Is this clear? How to map these given acquisition information in terms of example number 7? May map cut with the all these informations are there in the sum. Okay. Right. Then what we need to do? Assets and liabilities, we need to do what? Line by line addition. Assets and liabilities, we need to do line by line addition. Non-current assets. I will take it like this. Non-current assets. Right. Hope now you can see the screen, right? Should I explain it to you again? No need, right? It is easy. On 1st of January 2017, so I will go with this information. Right here. P Limited acquired 80% of S Limited on 1st of January 2017 at a cost of 100,000. On 1st of January 2017, P Limited has acquired 80% of S and the investment value is 100,000. Then the fair value of the net assets was determined to be 120,000. As at the acquisition date, the fair value of identifiable net assets of S Limited was 120,000. This figure they have given. This includes a brand possessed by S not recorded in the S Limited's books valued at 12,000. Again, book value of identifiable net assets කියලා ගත්තොත් එතන නැති කී දහයක් තියෙනවද? 12000ක brand value එකක් තියෙනවා. Right? So it should come under fair value adjustment. Fair value, and it is not reflected in the book value. It is not, we have not taken it into our books yet. Right? It is not reflected in the book value. Therefore, it is coming as a fair value adjustment, 12,000. This brand was estimated to be useful over 6-year period. Useful life of this brand is 6 years. So it means we need to amortize it over 6 years. Any further excess in the fair value should be attributed to increase in building value, which is to be depreciated over 10 years. It means if there is any excess that we need to consider as buildings. Therefore, we need to know these figures. Stated capital, that does not usually change, so we can take the balance sheet figure as it is, 80,000. That is the assumption we made. Retained earnings, they have separately given what? During the year 2017 and 18, S means our subsidiary made a profit of 8,000 and 7,000 respectively. අවුරුදු දෙකකට පස්සේ මේ කන්සෝල් කරන්න යන්නේ. එතකොට ඒ අවුරුදු දෙකට අදාළ අපේ සබ්සිඩියරි එක හොයපු ප්‍රොෆිට්ස් දෙනවා. 8,000 and 7,000 respectively. So as at balance sheet date, their profit figure is 35,000. Their profit or their retained earnings figure is 35,000. It means from this information we can find that as at 1st of January 2017, the retained earnings of S Limited is or should be 20,000. Acquire කරගන්න දවසේ එහෙනම් මෙයාගේ retained earnings තිබිලා තියෙනවා 20,000. So the book value of identifiable net assets should be equals to 100,000. 100,000 plus this 12,000, 112,000. Therefore, this remaining 8,000 should be what? Again, should be attributed to what? Increase in building value. It should be considered as building, and these should be depreciated over 10 years. Right? And on the NCI, what is the requirement? We need to assess NCI on the proportionate basis. Therefore, the NCI value should be what? 24,000. Okay, 24,000. So these are the acquisition information. These are the acquisition information in the sum. So we have mapped that. Then what we need to do? Right. Then we need to come to the consolidated statement of financial position. There, in terms of assets and liabilities, what we do? Line by line addition. Is not non-property, plant and equipment. PPE value should be what? 175,000. Goodwill will take from the working number 1. Inventory scale account. Now we have current assets. 45,000 plus 45,000, that is 90,000. That is 90,000. Stated capital, we consider the parent company's year-end amount. That is what? 140,000. Parent company year-end amount 140,000. Okay. Retained earnings and NCI will take from the working And liabilities, we can go for line by line addition. That should be then 30,000. Okay. First, what we need to do, we need to find the value of the goodwill. How to find? Investment plus NCI minus net assets. Investment plus NCI minus net assets. What is the value of the investment? Now, from the information that we have mapped, we can directly take the figures. What is the investment value? 100,000. Investment value 100,000. What is the value of the NCI? What is the value of the NCI? That is 24,000. 24,000. 24,000. I'm going to quickly, right? If you need me to explain something more, if you need me to further explain something, please let me know. Okay. And then net assets. What is the fair value of identifiable net assets? That is 120,000. So we need to deduct 120,000. Therefore, what is the goodwill? The goodwill value generated is 4,000 rupees, right? 4,000 rupees. So we have found that. Then we can go for the other additional information. Right. What it says here. What it says. On 1st of January 2017, on 1st of January 2017, P Limited sold a motor vehicle to S Limited at a price of 15,000. Let's map that first. On 1st of January 2017, what has happened? P Limited, means the parent, has sold a motor vehicle to S Limited. The selling price was 15,000. Okay. The book value at the date of sale was 10,000. Selling price was 15,000. Book value was 10,000. So what is the profit? With the 5,000 profit. 5,000 profit එකක් තියාගෙන තමයි මේ motor vehicle එක මෙයාට විකුණලා තියෙන්නේ. The group companies depreciate its motor vehicles over a 5-year period. Over a 5-year period. On 30th September 2018, S Limited sold a machine. That is a different transaction. So we'll first read for this. P has sold a motor vehicle for S. P has sold a motor vehicle for S. Does this motor vehicle is with S now? Does this motor vehicle with S now? May විකුණපු motor vehicle එක S ගාව දැන් තියෙනවද? Yes or no? Our parent company has sold a motor vehicle to their subsidiary, the S company, S Limited. Does this motor vehicle is with S now? May motor vehicle එක දැන් S ගාව තියෙනවද නැද්ද? Yes or no? Yes or no? Is it with S now? Yes or no? What? What can you say? It is with company S. It is with company S. Yes, it is with company S. Right? එහෙම S ගාව එක නැති වුණා නම් S තුත් ඒක වෙන කාට හරි විකුණලා තිබ්බනම් then no issue, no unrealized profit. But because it is with S right now, then it will lead to an unrealized profit of how much? Of how much? කීයක unrealized profit එකක් තියෙනවද? කීයක unrealized profit එකක් තියෙනවද? 10000ක book value එකක් 15000ට විකුණලා. එහෙනම් කීයක එකක් තියෙනවද? 5000. Unrealized profit value is 5000. Okay, yes, 5000. So what should be the double entry of this? What is the double entry that we need to pass with respect to this unrealized profit? Now you know. Then we know the path. Before that we forgot one thing. What? This one. This brand and building we have not taken it into our books now, so we'll take it first. Before doing anything else, we'll take this first. Brand value 12,000. Brand value 12,000. Brand value 12,000. So we need to consider it separately. Brand value. Can we take it under PPE? This 12,000, can we take it under PPE? No. Tangible, intangible assets. Brand is an intangible asset. So we need to show it separately. Brand. 12,000. Fair value adjustment. 12,000. Buildings, yes, that can be considered under PPE. We need to add 8,000 fair value adjustment. Okay. What about the depreciation? What about the depreciation? Here, what should be the depreciation value? Or under depreciation, right? Under depreciation. Under depreciation. අවුරුදු දෙකක්ම මෙයාලා ෂෙයා වෙලා නැහැ. එහෙනම් අවුරුදු දෙකකටම ෂෙයා කරන්න ඕන. Isn't it? For 2 years. Why? This acquisition was happened on when? 1st of January 2017. We are preparing our final accounts as at which date? As at 31st December 2018. Right? For 2 years, these assets have not been depreciated or amortized. Brand එකනම් amortize වෙන්නේ. You know this, right? Buildings, tangible assets nan depreciate වෙන්නේ. Right. So with respect to brand, what should be the under amortized amount? With respect to brand, what is the under amortized amount? කීයක් amortize වෙලා නැද්ද? ඔය අවුරුදු දෙකටම. What should be the amount? 12,000 over 6 into 2. 12,000 over 6 into 2. What is the amount? 4,000. 4,000. Yes, 4,000. So how to account for this 4,000? Yes, correct, 4,000. So how to account for this 4,000? The value of the brand should go down. Therefore, brand account. I'm not writing the double entry, right? I think you can understand. The brand value should go down. The brand account need to be credited by 4,000. This is under depreciation. Brand account, the asset, the brand asset account credited. Where to debit? Where to debit? Credit kara. Asset එකේ අඩු වුණා. කොතනටද debit වෙන්න ඕන? Where to debit? Where to debit? කාගෙන් profit එකෙන්ද මෙයා අඩු වෙන්න ඕන? කාගේ expense එකක්ද වෙන්න ඕන? Group එකේද නැත්නම් අපේ subsidiary එකේද? This asset is belonging to the subsidiary, S Limited. Therefore, it should be debited to the retained earnings of S under depreciation of what? Brand. That is 4,000 need to be debited. It means need to deduct 4,000. Yes, retained earnings of S. Right? Likewise, what we need to do with respect to building? Again, for 2 years, we have not depreciated. For 2 years, we have not depreciated. So what is the under depreciated amount? 8,000 over 10 into 2, that is 1,600. 1,600. That should be deducted from what? from the asset value. Depreciate to asset value 1,600. This is what? Under depreciation. Here actually it is not under depreciation, under amortization. Under amortization. 1,600 is under depreciation. Here also not under depreciation. Now we know accounting standards, right? So we should be able to identify the difference between these two terms. Under depreciation need to be debited to the retained earnings of S. How much? That is 1,600. Hope it is clear for you. Asset එකෙන් අඩු වෙනවා මේ දෙකම IPS limited අපේ subsidiary එකට. එහෙනම් මෙයාගේ profit එකෙන් තමයි අඩු වෙන්න under depreciation. Right. Okay. And now we were here. Right. Selling the intercompany sales of a motor vehicle. And we have found the unrealized profit here. Unrealized profit that is 5,000. So what is the double entry that we need to pass here with respect to this 5,000? What the pass කරන්න entry? What? මේ 5000ක ලාභය තියෙන කාගාවද? With whom? With parent company. Why? Parent company has sold this asset to S. Parent company කෙනෙක් මේ sale එක කරන්නේ. එහෙනම් ලාභය කාගාවටද යන්නේ? Parent company ගාවට. Therefore, from group retained earnings, for the group retained earnings account, we need to debit. Group retained earnings account, we need to debit. Where to credit? Where to credit? Credit වෙන්නේ කවුද? Credit වෙන්නේ කවුද? මොකද්ද මේ? Motor vehicle asset. Motor vehicle asset need to be credited by 5,000. Motor vehicle asset need to be credited by 5,000. And if you have the logic, මේ profit එක මෙයාගාව තියෙන නා එයාගෙන් අයින් වෙන්න ඕන. මෙහෙම asset එකක් ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා balance sheet එකට asset එක මේක නෙමෙයි මීට වඩා ගන්න අඩු වෙන්න. මේ unrealized profit amount එක මෙතනින් අයින් වෙන්න. Right? So go with that logic. Okay. Group retained earnings need to be debited. Unrealized profit generated from sale of motor vehicle need to be debited by 5,000. Need to be debited by 5,000 on a debit card. Where to credit? Asset account, motor vehicle asset account need to be credited. PPE need to be credited. It means need to deduct 5,000 unrealized profit. Unrealized profit. Okay. Intercompany sale of motor vehicles. So intercompany sale of assets, motor vehicles. Unrealized profit එක විතරක් අයින් කළාම ඇද්ද? In an intercompany sale of a motor vehicle or any other fixed asset, is it enough only to eliminate unrealized profit? Unrealized profit එක විතරක් අයින් කරාම ඇද්ද? මදි. ඇයි මදි? Why? මෙයා profit එක විතරක් අරන් ඉන්නේ මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ? What happens? Yes, depreciation. With depreciation we have an issue. Why? This asset is actually what should be the book value of it 10,000. But now what has happened because of this sales transaction? S company has recorded it as 15,000 and this S company is depreciating it based on this 15,000. හැබැයි ඇත්තටම asset එකේ ආගිය කීයද? 10000යි. ඒ වුණාට මෙයා මෙදා ඉඳන් ෂෙයා කරන් යන්නේ කීය ගානද? 15000 ගාන. Therefore this leads to what? This leads to over depreciation. Over depreciation. Because of this intercompany sale of motor vehicles, it has resulted not only unrealized profit, but over depreciation as well. Right? වැඩිපුර ෂෙයා කළා. 10000ට ෂෙයා ගණන් කරන්න ඕන එක 15000ක් ගෙට තමයි මෙදා ඉඳන් ෂෙයා ගේ ගණනය කරගෙන යන්නේ. That right, that 5000, right, we need to eliminate. 5000 කියන්නේ 5000 base කරන් depreciate කරපු ගාන අපි අයින් කරන්න ඕන. Right. So what is the over depreciation amount? What is the over depreciation amount? ගාන කියනවා useful life එක ගැන. What it says: the group companies depreciate its motor vehicles over a 5-year period. 5-year period. Right? Over a 5-year period. එහෙනම් වැඩිපුර මෙන්න මේ 5000 අවුරුදු කීයක් ෂෙයා කළද අපි? මේ 5000ට වැඩිපුර අවුරුදු කීයක් ෂෙයා කළද? 2 years. The useful life is 5 years. And we have depreciated, or we have done over depreciation for 2 years. It means what is the figure? 2000. 2000. With respect to this over depreciated amount, what is the double entry we need to pass? With respect to this 2000 over depreciated amount, what is the double entry we need to pass? කවුද මේ over depreciate කරලා තියෙන්නේ? P ද S ද? දැන් මේ asset එක කාගේද? S ගේ. එහෙනම් S තමා මේ over X නේ මේ 15000ට අඳුනගෙන තියෙන්නේ. එහෙනම් S තමා මේක over depreciate කරගෙන යනවා ඇත්තේ. Over depreciate කරා මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ? What happens when over depreciating? The profit figure goes down. Right? Profit figure එක පහළට යනවා. It goes down. එහෙම යන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. Over depreciate නේ. අපි අඳුන ගන්න ඕනට වඩා වැඩිපුර expense අඳුරගෙන. So we need to reverse it. Then what we need to do? What we need to do? මොකද කරන්න ඕනේ? Group retained, not group retained. Retained earnings of S. Retained earnings of S need to be credited and where to debit? Asset account need to be debited. Over depreciation amount. Right? Asset account need to be debited and retained earnings of the subsidiary need to be credited. Asset account here. Asset account need to be what? Debited. Debit නම් එකතු වෙන්නද ඕන අඩු වෙන්නද? එකතු වෙන්න. Asset debited by 2000. This is what? Over depreciation. Over depreciation. Over depreciation. On a debit kara, where to credit? Retained earnings of S credit. Retained earnings of S credit. Credit නම් එකතු වෙන්නද අඩු වෙන්නද? එකතු වෙන්නයි ඕන 2000. Right? 2000. This is over depreciation of motor vehicle. So that one we have treated. Intercompany sale of motor vehicles. So not only unrealized profit we need to eliminate, we need to account for the over depreciation as well. Intercompany stocks ගියා නම් ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. Inventory ගියා නම් ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. Unrealized profit එක හොයාගත්ත eliminate කරා ඉතින් ඉවරයි. ඒත් intercompany sale of motor vehicles නැත්නම් මොකක් හරි වෙන fixed asset එකක්, මොකක් හරි depreciable asset එකක් sell වුණා නම් එතකොට unrealized profit එක හොයාගෙන එයා eliminate කරන්නත් ඕන. ඒ වගේම මොකද්ද? Over depreciation value එක calc කරලා ඒක reverse කරන්නත් ඕන. Okay. Right. And then it says what? On 30th September 2018, S Limited sold the machine to P Limited at a profit of 1000, which had a useful life of 5 years. Another intercompany sale of a fixed asset, a depreciable asset, is there. I will take it here. Right. Here. On 30th September 2018. On 30th September 2018. 30th September 2018. How part of the S Limited sold the machine to P Limited. S Limited has sold the machine to P Limited at a profit of 1,000. It means unrealized profit value is 1,000. Okay. Which had the useful life of 5 years. We need to compute here also the over depreciation as well. Now, unrealized profit 1,000. 1,000 the profit so it means unrealized profit amount is 1,000. What is the double entry here? What should be the double entry here? With whom the profit is with our subsidiary. With our subsidiary. Then what we need to do? We need to eliminate that unrealized profit. Therefore, retained earnings of S need to be debited. Retained earnings of S need to be debited. Where to credit? Machine. Machine එකක් නේද මේ? Yes. Machine. Machine account needs to be credited. Machine account need to be credited. Okay. Retained earnings account need to be debited by 1,000. On a debit kara. What is this? Unrealized profit from what? Sale of machine. Unrealized profit generated through the sale of machine. We have taken it out from the profit of our subsidiary. Subsidiary ke profit එකෙන් අයින් කරා 1,000. Where to credit? ආයි කොතනින්ද අයින් වෙන්න ඕන? Machines වලින් අයින් වෙන්න ඕන. Therefore PPE credit means we need to deduct 1,000. This is what? This is unrealized profit. Unrealized profit. Right. What else? Over depreciation. Now find and tell me what is the over depreciated amount. 1000ක් වැඩිපුර ෂෙයා කරගෙන යනවා. කොච්චර කාලයකට ෂෙයා කළාද? For how many years or months? From September 30th to 31st December. How many months? 3 months. 3 months. Useful life is 5 years. It means we'll say 60 months. So we have over depreciated for 3 months. We have over depreciated for 3 months. Therefore, the over depreciation amount is how much? Over depreciation amount here 50. Is it 50? Here 50 near it. Yes, 50. So with respect to this 50, what is the entry we need to pass? With respect to this 50, what is the entry we need to pass? Over depreciated. කවුද මේක over depreciate කරගෙන ඉන්නේ? Who has over depreciated? Subsidiary එකද parent? Parent company. Who has over depreciated this one? Subsidiary or parent? Yes, this has been over depreciated by parent. I parent company ni මේක එන්නේ. ඊට එයා තමයි depreciate කරන්නේ. එයා over depreciate කරලා. එයා over depreciate කරා නම් මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ? එයාගේ ලාභය අඩුවෙන් ඇත්තේ. So we need to reverse. Group retained earnings need to be credited, and where to debit? Machine account need to be debited. Machine account debit 50, group retained earnings account credit 50. Here, machine account debit the credit the debit. Now we should add 50. This is over depreciation. Machine account credit where to debit? Group retained earnings. Now it should be in this column. Group retained earnings need to be credit by 50. This is what? Over depreciation. Over depreciation of machine. Over depreciation of machine. Clear, no? Right? The two ways. If the parent has sold a machine to subsidiary, and if the subsidiary has sold the machine to a parent company, how we can compute unrealized profit and the over depreciation, and how we can account for those. Okay. So the time is 12:30. We'll quickly do the rest of the things, right? Then here, during the year, P Limited made a sale. During the year, P Limited made a sale of 10,000 to S Limited. I will have it here. Okay. P Limited. P Limited. P Limited sold. P Limited made a sale of 10,000 to S Limited. P Limited to S Limited, selling price 10,000. Not 10,000, 15,000. Not 10,000. At a cost plus 25%. Cost plus 25%. It means markup is 25%. S had 40% of these goods left with them at the year end. So what is the remaining stock? Remaining stock is what? Out of this 10,000, 40% remain. It means 4,000 stock is there at the year end with S out of this stock, out of this sales transaction. Right. Okay. So what is the unrealized profit here? What is the unrealized profit amount here? Cost plus 25. Cost plus 25%. It means selling price minus cost. We have profit. Hope you can see, right? Cost plus 25 means if the cost is 100, the profit should be 25. Then the selling price should be what? 125. Then what should be the unrealized profit here? If the selling price is 125, that includes 25 worth of profit. If so, if in a 4,000 worth of stock, what should be the profit included? 125ක විකුණුම් මිල වෙද්දී ඒක ඇතුලේ 25ක ප්‍රොෆිට් තියෙනවා නම් 4000ක තොගයක් ඇතුලේ කීයක ප්‍රොෆිට් ඇද්ද? 800. Yes, 800. So the unrealized profit amount is 800. 800. What is the double entry? This is with this unrealized profit is with whom now? Parent company. Therefore, group retained earnings need to be debited. Unrealized profit. Unrealized profit. Group retained earnings need to be debited by 800. Need to be debited by 800. Okay. Where to credit? Inventory account credit. These are the current assets. Inventory account credit 8,800. Unrealized profit. Unrealized profit. At 1 p.m., what is the lecture you have? Is it Pradeep sir's one? Pradeep sir එක නේද? All right. Then no issue, right? Okay. Pradeep sir one is not there, no? It is cancelled. Okay, we'll quickly discuss this anyway. Unrealized profit, we have passed the double entry. Group retained earnings account debit, inventory account credit. Then again, they have given another one. What is that? Under sales, intercompany sales transaction. S also made sales of 4,000 to P Limited at a margin. Kalinne markup make a margin. See, margin of 15%, and P Limited had 30% of these goods left with him, left with them. Okay, here S also made sales to P. What is the selling price? That is 4,000. At a margin of 15%. Margin of 15%. Margin of 15%. If the selling price is 100, the profit figure should be 50. Right? If the selling price is 100, the profit figure should be 15. That is what it is mean by margin at 15%. Margin at 15%. On selling price, 15%. Okay. Where's the issue? P Limited had 30% of these goods left with them. It means there is a remaining stock. Remaining stock that will lead to what? That will lead to unrealized profit. What is the remaining stock value? 4,000 into 30%. That is 4,000 into 30%. That is 1,200. Then we need to find the unrealized profit amount within these 1,200. That we need to find. Here, margin at 15%. If the selling price is 100, it means there is profit worth of 15. විකුණුම් මිල 100 නම් එතන 15ක profit තියෙනවා. එහෙමනම් විකුණුම් මිල 1200ක් වෙච්ච මේ අවසාන තොගේ profit කීයක් ඇද්ද? What should be the figure? What should be the figure? 300. No. 180. 180 is the unrealized profit. This is what we need to pass the double entry for. Here amount එකටයි double entry pass වෙන්න ඕන. Okay. So with whom this profit is with? කාගාවද මේ profit එක තියෙන්නේ? With whom this unrealized profit is with? That is with S Limited, our subsidiary. So that need to be debited. Retained earnings of S need to be debited by 180. This is unrealized profit. Unrealized profit. Okay. So you can see unrealized profit within brackets S has sold to P. Otherwise it will get confused. S to P. Unrealized profit. S to P. Where to credit? Credit it to the inventory account. Inventory account. Here is 8. This is what? P to S. Credit it to the inventory account 180. This is what? Unrealized profit where S has sold to P. S has sold to P. S to P. Okay. Retained earnings of S debit. Inventory account credit. Right. Then what else? The last adjustment that we need to make is what? At the year end, the goodwill, the proportion applicable to P Limited was impaired by 1,000. Goodwill impairment. Right? There is a goodwill impairment. Goodwill impairment by 1,000 means the goodwill value should go down by 1,000. Goodwill account need to be credited by 1,000. Where to debit? What we need to look out there. What is the method that we have assess our NCI? අපි NCI assess කරේ මොන method එකටද? Fair value method එකට නම් මොකක්ද වෙන්න ඕන? ඔය 1000 parent company shareholders රටයි other shareholders රටයි බෙදලා යන්න. But here we have used which method? We have used proportionate method. Therefore, if there is a goodwill impairment, the total amount need to be debited to whom? Debited to the parent company shareholders, right? The total amount need to be debited to the parent company shareholders. It means it need to be debited to group retained earnings as 1,000. Proportionate method එකට කියොතින් goodwill impairment සම්පූර්ණ value එක debit වෙන්න ඕන කොහටද? Group retained earnings account එකට. Fair value method now, it should be between group retained earnings and NCI. Okay. Right. So we have treated all the other additional information. What else we need to have? What? Post acquisition. So as at the balance sheet date, the retained earnings of S Limited is 35,000. As at the acquisition date, the retained earning amount was 20,000. 20,000. It means post acquisition amount is 15,000. So once we do these adjustments, is what? So it is 10,220. 10,220. This is the amount that we need to allocate between parent company shareholders and NCI. It means out of this 10,220, 80% belong into parent company shareholders. The remaining 20% should goes to NCI. Right? Parent company shareholders and NCI. We need to allocate this figure between those two parties. And then in terms of the parent, we need to consider the year-end retained earnings amount. What is that? That is 80,000. That is 80,000. 80,000. That's all, no? There is no any intercompany balances, nothing to set off then. So we can take the final figures. Here it is what? 4,000 minus 1,000, 3,000. 24,000 plus this one. and here. Okay. Right here, 175,000 is the original figure we had. Then we have certain adjustments. Plus 8,000 minus 1,600 minus 5,000 plus 2,000 minus 1,000 plus 50. Right here, 12,000 minus 4,000, the under amortization. So it should be 8,000. Goodwill value, that is 3,000. From the working we can take 3,000. Current assets 90,000 minus 800 minus 180, that is 89,020. Therefore, the total asset figure should be this much, 277,470. If I'm wrong, please make me correct, right? Right, stated capital, we have considered the parent company's year-end amount, retained earnings, group retained earnings, that is 81,426. The summation of these two is what? Equity attributable to parent company shareholders. For that, we need to add NCI value, that is 26,044. From the working we can take. Liabilities, no any adjustments we have made, so it is 30,000. Yes, our balance sheet should balance at the figure 277,470. Okay. See how the complex or how much of information is there in the sum. If we follow the procedure, we can make it easy. Logical understanding is important when solving these sort of sums. Okay, clear? Anything to clarify? So please do these sums again and again, right? Change the figures in these examples and try. Example like figures you try again and again and practice these sums. The practice is so much important. Okay. So with that, shall we stop? Or is there anything you need to clarify? Otherwise, we can stop. Are you okay? Are you okay? Right. So please attempt these practice sums, attempt these examples again and again. Right? Okay, right. So we'll stop.